Hello, this is Lucretia with the Calm and Confident You podcast. Earlier this week, I posted a video short which described the thinking process called rumination. Someone saw that video clip and commented, "What do we do about it?" Well, the answer to that is more involved than can be stated in a return comment. So I decided to talk today about what do you do about rumination. Rumination is engaging in thinking which goes on, and from which the person finds it very difficult to disengage. It tends to be negative and critical in nature. The focus is usually on some mistake from the past, some perceived slight from another person, one's own self-criticism, or worries of future failure. Here's an example. After returning home from a social gathering, Frank can't stop thinking about the moment when he tried to be funny and no one laughed. In fact, he thinks a couple people seemed annoyed with him. He starts thinking, "They all probably think I am rude. Why did I say that? I am an insensitive jerk. I should have known better than to say something so dumb." Frank doesn't stop thinking about it. He thinks maybe people at the gathering started avoiding him after that. He worries that the next time he sees someone, they will reject him. He imagines them telling him off in public. He feels embarrassed when he thinks of his original failed joke, and he feels embarrassed when thinking about being confronted in public. Frank continues to replay the moment he messed up at the social gathering and continues to analyze how people interacted with him after that. He questions the looks and comments people made toward him. Frank becomes so upset that he can't sleep. His negative thinking about himself goes on. Frank feels so badly after a night of negative thinking that he doesn't want to get up in the morning. He doesn't want to be around people. He has assessed himself to be so awful, he thinks others must also think he is awful. He starts to think that he will never get ahead in life. He is such a reject. He thinks no one really likes him, and they will eventually abandon him. He visualizes himself getting old and living alone and miserable. He feels that life is too hard. He continues thinking well into the day about all of the pain and suffering in the whole world. You can see how Frank's thinking was negative, self-critical, focused on the past and the future, and continued to add more and more concerns and negative assessments. His thinking was not useful or constructive. He didn't solve anything or take any helpful action. Rumination is a common type of thinking related to depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Rumination typically increases distress. Our brains have the ability to solve problems. Rumination is a sort of problem-solving mode, but it is ineffective. Practical problem-solving doesn't actually take place. Instead, the mind spins around simply looking at the problem, envisioning and connecting further problems, without looking at actionable solutions. The ruminating person gets stuck in this spin and finds it hard to think of anything else. Meanwhile, their mood gets worse. And rumination can turn into a bad habit. Doing it over and over makes it easier to fall into it. Starting the type of thinking which leads to further rumination becomes familiar to the brain. Whatever the brain does over and over becomes solidified in neural networks. It is then easily activated. What to do about it? You need to have the skill to disconnect from ruminative thinking and the awareness to stop it at the beginning. One practice which helps is fostering awareness of one's body, which shifts focus to the present. Since rumination is typically focused on the past or future, shifting focus to the present helps one to come out of it. A simple practice of focusing all attention on one's breathing and or doing a body scan, giving attention to the sensations from the toes on up to the head, is a way to stop the ineffective mental spin. Second, develop an awareness of the types of thoughts you are having. Instead of getting caught up in the thinking, identifying the types of thoughts, such as negative thoughts, worry thoughts, self-criticism, judgmental thoughts, or unhelpful thoughts, can help you to step back and disconnect from them. Meditation is another practice which helps shift focus and the thinking process itself. There are several apps you can put on your phone with a variety of types of meditations which you can change up to keep things interesting. And changing your environment can disrupt rumination. Getting out, going for a walk in nature, running an errand, or being around people can help with living in the moment rather than attending to things you don't have control over at the time anyway. Deep thinking is only useful if you can problem solve some action steps, which you can implement in the present. Learn to know the difference in the types of thinking and their purpose. This week going forward, practice being in the current moment. Pay attention to any activity you are doing. You only need 2 or 3 minutes. Set a reminder on your phone. Practice being in the moment while you are driving. Notice your thoughts. Notice if you are thinking of the past or planning or problem solving, when you could be enjoying the meal you are eating or listening to a song that is playing. There is a time and a place for planning and problem solving. There is also time to notice the current moment and engage in the life you are living. If you are liking this Calm and Confident You podcast, please subscribe to it on your favorite streaming service. You can also find the most recent episodes and more about me at my website, ldonreed.com. That's ldonreed.com. And check out my website, growingemotionalstrength.com, for other resources including my blog and classes and inspirational products. Until next time, be well.